Welcome everybody. Today I am here with Jeroen, Mr. Kweekel himself, the new 2016 World Champion. I'm going to do a little interview with you today. I've been sent here by the guys of Formula SimRacing, and first of all, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. So, World Champion. How does it feel?
Not much different.
No?
Not much different. I mean, at the end of the day, I take it step by step. I look at every race individually, and I mean, next time we race at Brazil, maybe I am a champion. But my approach doesn't change. Nothing changed really. So you kind of get the emotion as soon as you cross the line. You know, I'm a champion, but after a few days that sinks away, I guess, that emotion.
No. Yeah, so what were you expecting coming into the season? Were you expecting coming from a pro champion and already won a race in the championship last year?
True.
What were you expecting?
Again, not much. No, this is an interesting question because I talked about this with the team quite a bit beforehand, and Peter Bell, my team boss, basically asked me, what are your expectations, like you just asked. I said, I'm coming from pro. I'm quite confident because during testing it looked quite promising. I mean, Kuba Brzezinski is a very quick guy, but usually I was able to match him, if not being quicker, so it gives you a kind of confidence boost. So I knew we were going into the right direction, but at the same time, I'm new in the World Championship, so I didn't set a target for myself. I said, let's race the first 3 races and then see how it goes, and from there, go onwards with the season. And from then onwards, basically after 3 races, I could sketch an image where I was, and from there onwards, I could indeed draw, where I was going to end up and what my targets were. But for the first race, I didn't have any expectations.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. You said your teammate Cuba is obviously a very quick guy also. Yeah. Who did you feel was going to be your toughest competitor? Was it going to be Cuba, or did you have somebody else in mind?
For some reason, I didn't really look at Cuba. I don't know why, but maybe it's just the fact that he was a teammate. I looked at Bigazzi quite a bit. I really thought Bigazzi would be really strong in the beginning of the season, because he kind of has the raw pace. He's really, really fast, but in my opinion, he lacked consistency a little bit in the races, and the races usually didn't go his way. Yeah. But I think he was going to improve that over the course of the season and then become stronger and stronger, because the base was already there. He has a great raw pace, but that didn't really turn out to be true, I guess. I saw Bigazzi at the beginning, as the toughest rival, so to say.
Yeah, we saw Bigazzi had 3 pole positions, and Bajut did 7, so really, really strong in qualifying.
Yeah, I have to bear in mind that Bigazzi stopped after.
Of course he did. He also has, he only had 1 DNF this season. Yeah. He had about 3, I believe. Yeah. So definitely he wasn't as good in the race. Mm-hmm. But now looking almost at the season ending, who do you feel really was your toughest competitor? Was it Kiss, who's now second in the championship?
I think Paris.
Yeah.
Yes. But he dropped off massively after Singapore for some reason. I think in Singapore he didn't even qualify in the top 10. So it really depended on which stage of the season you were in. I mean, after Spa, when Paris won in the rain, I was like, okay, gonna have to step it up a bit. But after that at Singapore he dropped back, and he's dropped back even further since. And Malaysia went bad, and I would say now it's Kiss. Kiss. No way. Obviously you have Brilliak, but Brilliak isn't really a challenger in the standings, so to say. So,
So, looking at the season now, you of course are already the champion. Still one race left, Brazil.
Yeah.
It's going to be this week when we record next week, but
yeah.
probably when it's online, it's coming to be this week. Which race of the season so far that you really like the most? Of course, we had rain in Spa.
Yeah, we had rain in Spa. Yeah, yes, but no, not Spa. I would say Silverstone, but that would purely be because it is my favorite track. In terms of racing, I would say Canada was quite good. Bahrain was special. I would say Bahrain actually. In terms of racing, it was Bahrain, but yeah, I purely enjoyed racing at Silverstone more because I like the track a lot more. It's my favorite track. So yeah, whenever you race there, whether it goes bad or right, or whether it goes bad or you're doing well, doesn't matter because the track is so awesome. It's also always fun to race there, I think. So
yeah.
I would say Singapore or Silverstone, but yeah, from a racing point of view, I would say Bahrain. Yeah.
So. You say Bahrain.
Yeah.
When do you really enjoy racing? I mean, you probably got into sim racing because you like driving around in a car pretty quickly. But it's become more serious now, of course, yes. in the league. And at what moments during the race do you still really enjoy yourself?
When I find myself in new situations, in situations I haven't been before, because I'm always eager to learn. And you learn from being in new situations which you haven't experienced before. A good example, I guess, would be the most recent race around Kota with Briljak. I mean, emotions went quite high. You're racing quite heavily. You made contact a few times, and I learned from that race. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of things happening in that race, especially a particular incident where I've learned a lot from, and what I'll do different for the next couple of races, so to say.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Always learning.
Mm-hmm.
So you said the relationship with the team was. You said beforehand. Spoke about the exchanges were. How was the relationship with you and the team? You obviously started in Orange and Front Row this year.
Yeah.
How did you feel coming into the team?
I'm starting to smile a little bit. I really am, because it's a pleasure to work with all of the people who are there, and yeah, I would consider them good friends even. A lot of people within the team, they are fantastic people, especially team boss Peter Bell, Daniel Brewer, also a fantastic person, and yeah, you have Ryan Winsper, who's the team owner or something like that, or he has the license, he owns the license, but yeah, he isn't much active, but still in the background he is, of course. I would say, yeah, the relationship is fantastic. We play games together, we laugh a lot together, we sometimes get mad at each other, but that's part of it as well, I think.
Yeah.
I would say it's fantastic. It's a pleasure to work with them. No offense to GoSpeed, but I'm having a better time here with the people around me than I had at GoSpeed.
Next to R-Factor 2, you also drive quite a lot of other sims. You see that, of course, also on your YouTube channel. How do you rate R-Factor compared to, for example, a Setup Corsa or a Codemaster game?
It has a lot of potential. There's a lot of stuff which should be tweaked as well. But I think overall it's a fantastic simulation, and I have a lot of fun driving it. But I'm also starting to lean towards other sims as well, mainly iRacing. I'm gonna try iRacing over the course of the winter, see what that's like. Usually I wasn't really, a big fan of it. But yeah, I would say R-Factor is a fantastic sim, and it always has been. R-Factor 1 was very popular. Right now you have the Corsa, Project Cars, iRacing, of course. So the competition gets tougher for R-Factor, I think, for ISI. Obviously they have been partnered recently with, what is it? Studio?
397.
Yes, exactly. So hopefully they can work on the things which could be improved. Like I said, some things need to be tweaked. But I'm having a lot of fun, and I wouldn't really see a reason to change. I mean, I would like to try something else, but the force feedback it gives is fantastic, in my opinion. It's spot on, and nothing comes close to that, in my opinion. Not even iRacing. But iRacing on the other hand has other facts or other features, I should say, which are better. So it's kind of what you're looking for. But for a league like FSR, I think R Factor is definitely the way to go. Absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, with R Factor 2 you have a lot of modding, and we of course at Sporting SimRacing have our own car.
Yeah.
How did you like the car last season? It's of course been a lot different than what we had previous seasons.
Exactly. There have been a lot of talks about it, definitely. Last year the car had quite high downforce and the tires would just grip instantly and whatnot. So it was quite a massive change to get used to be honest. But they are kind of flat, and they are kind of flat to drive. They don't necessarily offer much fun, and you have to really preserve your tires in order to be good, in my opinion. That's really something you have to do. You can't go blind and push every lap. You have to work on your consistency, have to work on your long term pace, so to say, in a stint, in order to perform well. I think that's been more of a factor than a year ago or maybe 2 years ago, of course.
Yeah. Of course, also you can change a lot in the setups in these cars.
Yes.
Do you think it really makes a difference if you are good in making setups and suit them to your setup?
Well, particularly the last few words you spoke, suit them to your own driving style. That's where, in my opinion, a setup is meant for. You can take one extreme end of a setup, for example, a really oversteery setup, and I wouldn't be able to drive it, but my teammate, for example, would be able to drive it. And take the other extreme, a really unsteery setup, I would be able to drive it, but my teammate would be able to drive it. So it really depends on how well you can adjust the setup to your own driving style, I think. That's the most important thing. And I think it can give you a benefit. Yes, I do think it can give you a benefit when you're really good at doing that. Not necessarily in qualifying, but it can help over the course of a stint. And like I said, it's really important to be fast over the course of a whole stint and not just the first few laps and then drop off. Yeah. So yes, I would say, if you can really maybe save the tires a little bit more because of it, but still be quite fast over the course of the whole stint, then it can give you quite a big benefit, I would say.
Yeah. So how do you prepare yourself for the races? Of course, coming into a weekend, how many laps do you do, or how many hours are you in your sim racing in your setup?
Well, standard answer. It depends how big the break is. If you have a 3-4 week break, of course you're going to do more laps than when you have a 1 week break. What was it? Kota and what was before Kota?
Malaysia.
Yeah. They were back to back. They were like a week after each other. So for Malaysia, not a lot of laps. And then for Australia, the first round of the season, or Spa, in between the summer break, you do a lot of laps. Taking an average, I would say a good 350-400 laps in advance in preparation for a race weekend. Yes. Our target is to have 2 simulations before a race weekend. One quite early on, so we know what we have to improve, and then one later on to see whether we have improved. But for Malaysia, we only did 1, for example. We strive to do 2, but sometimes it's impossible and you just do 1.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So also your setup, your racing rig. Last year you had still a Logitech wheel. But now you have switched to an open sim wheel.
Yeah.
Do you feel that made a big difference in getting the World Championship?
Well, I don't know really. It's tough to say. When I get asked a question like this, I always remember myself of the year 2015, so previous year. I won the WC race. I took pole in 3 races out of the 4 I did, or something like that. Or in Australia, I was equal to the pole time. So I know I was quite fast as well with a G27. I think the only aspect where it helps definitely is consistency. That is definitely where it has helped a bit, I would say. But it's hard to compare. I don't even know what a G27 drives like anymore, so it's very hard to answer that one, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. So talking about consistency and so. Do you feel there are still a lot of aspects where your driving can be improved?
Always, yeah, always. In terms of consistency and looking after the tires and whatnot, I mean, I kind of progressed, I think, through that over the course of the year. It got only better and better. So I wouldn't really focus on that, but perhaps the racecraft could be improved. But what I mainly try to improve now at this point is getting the qualifying right, because sometimes I was 3/4 tenths of my PB in qualifying. That's way too much. So I try to look on that, try to get a good qualifying lap in the first run, and then you can take it easy after that, try to improve maybe a little bit more. But usually I wouldn't be able to do a quick lap in the first 3 laps, and then you put all the pressure on the final lap of your qualifying, and then you're just going to bottle it. That doesn't work. So qualifying is where I'm trying to look at now.
Okay, yeah, that's actually quite interesting, because you have been the best in qualifying all season by quite a margin. You have 7 pole positions so far, and Bigazzi, of course, he stopped mid-season, but he has only 3. So that's actually quite interesting.
The thing is, I don't really compare myself with the positions. I compare myself in terms of what my PB is like. If I'm 4 tenths on my PB, it's way too much. You have to improve on that, I think.
I know your father also watches the races. Do you think it helps getting support from your family also?
I would say yes. It depends what kind of support. I mean, sometimes you have people who will always justify everything you do, but that's not valuable. Makes a lot more sense for me personally if my dad looks at me with an honest opinion. If he says, you messed up, then I would like to hear that. I don't want to hear, maybe it was his fault and not yours, because when I am at fault, you have to be honest with someone, I think. That is someone which is valuable, and he does that. So it's quite nice actually, but even if he didn't watch, I don't necessarily think it makes a massive difference, no.
Okay.
But it's fun. It's good, of course. It's a good thing.
Of course, FSR is pretty much the highest level of competition at least in our factor at the moment. Do you think there is a higher level of competition?
Absolutely, yeah.
iRacing, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Short answer, but it's true.
Yeah. Of course, the SimRacing community is growing the past couple of years, even with really big events with prize money and so going on at the moment. Do you think SimRacing could be able to grow to, for example, as big as other esports like Counter-Strike or League of Legends?
I think so. Yeah, it has massive potential, I think, and iRacing is doing a really good job at it. Really have to say that. Their broadcasts are awesome. When you look at the quality of their broadcasts, it's something incredible, to be honest. I mean, we don't get even close to that. I mean, I have to be honest, we don't even get close to that.
No.
So, but even if iRacing were to become a really big esport and it would be broadcasted on television or something, it would help our factor as well, I think, because there will be more attention for SimRacing. So, there's a lot of potential in it, I think. Maybe this Formula E event which is going on now will be like a step up the ladder, and then from then onwards we can have more events like these and it will grow the attention. So there's a lot of potential, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We also see more like real life drivers getting into the sims. For example, ex-FSR driver Atsi Kirchhoff. He has now got a company even that trains real life drivers in the simulator. Do you think that sim racing and real racing ever will come like sort of together?
If I have to believe some people who are in the real racing, then I would say yes, because they say it's quite similar. I think it can definitely help. It definitely has a link, of course. Sim racing and real racing, it definitely has a link. But I wouldn't say I'm really skeptical about it, but I have to wait and see, really. I cannot predict the future. So
no, of course.
It obviously has a link. I think the real world is starting to notice the sim racing world a little bit more. There's a little bit, more acknowledgement. But I think it will only grow. So I guess there is a possibility that those two will somewhat melt into each other. And if you're a good sim racer, you get a chance at a real team, for example.
Yeah. What are the kind of things that you do next to sim racing? Any hobbies or?
No, of course you go to school, but no, not particularly. I guess I like football, watching it. It's good to see it, and I can really enjoy it. But even the tiniest things I can enjoy a lot. So even sitting on the sofa or whatever, just resting. I mean, sleeping is also a good hobby of mine. So
So next year, are you going to stay with OFR and try and become a multiple world champion in FSR?
I'm a bit 50-50 towards it. I don't know if I'll drive next season. It depends what I'm doing over the winter. If I'm going to try iRacing and really like it, I may stick to iRacing. I don't really see myself doing that though. So again, that's the other 50. Perhaps I would race next season. And it's always at the end of a season, you're always a bit tired and motivation drops a bit. So I guess over the course of the winter, I'll be quite motivated again to drive for another season. So I guess there's a good chance, and if I will drive next season, it will be for OFR, no doubt. I won't change team, so it's either I drive for OFR, or I won't be present next year. I may as well do a Peter Bilwick where I'm just not driving, and then suddenly I pop up again when I'm when I feel the time has come and when I'm able to enjoy it again.
That's about it for this interview. I think I want to thank you very much for having us here again, and the best of luck during the winter, and
thank you.
Maybe next season.
I hope so. Good luck to you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. No.